Welcome to more Gran Turismo Sport Closed Beta Specialtatin. Today we have a very old one, but actually a very good one. This is sort of just one that I forgot about over the time because it went uniquely. I'll just say that. This is from about as early as the game was, like back when the sportsmanship rating was a number instead of a letter. It was superior when it was a number instead of a letter because that way you could actually see how much you moved up or down. But anyway, yeah, so let's get into it, folks. There's some names y'all might recognize, and then there's also some new names in here as well, or I guess in this case, old names that aren't around. But if you've never seen it before, no matter how old it is, it's new to you. So here we go, folks. Back then, I ran a 54.3 or something like that around here, which I can't do for the life of me now because the cars are a whole heck of a heap slower. But back then, they weren't nerfed, and a 54.3 was not nearly as fast as a 54.8 or something like that would be today. So yeah, a lot has changed in the time of only it being a closed beta, and this race kind of sort of shows it there. And well, because I'm racing in a lower class, some of the drivers ain't exactly as clean as maybe they are in the higher classes. But some of the drivers are actually the same drivers. And yeah, the driver in front of me, as far as I can tell, is always clean. But I do have a driver behind me who actually the last race he was in raced clean. But this is a whole heck of a heap before the last race he was in. So we'll just have to see how this goes, folks. As of now, that car behind me is definitely racing dirty, but, well, he's behind me. Was behind me, so it wasn't all that big of a deal then. But, yeah, this is back when I was new to the game to the point of I didn't know whether I should or shouldn't race dirty because I didn't know all the parameters and all that very well and what I could and couldn't get away with. So I wasn't really as much eye for eye back then, but yeah, I can't honestly remember if I retaliated or not, but it looked like I did. Okay, that's a good one right yonder. I don't care now or then if I lost sportsmanship rating or not. That driver deserved it. Eye for eye racing that I completely forgot about. I hope I don't end up getting screwed over from that later. I don't know. I can't remember, honestly. I just skimmed through this race with it on like 10 times speed, and I noticed a lot of good racing and a lot of chaos. So, yeah, like that. I wasn't as consistent back then as I am now, so that happens a whole heck of a heap. And, yeah, y'all know about the driver in front of me now. I'll just say that. Y'all know about the driver in front of me now. But actually, back then, as far as I know, I didn't have any problems with him. Is the driver in front of me now, I think was the one who got in a scuffle earlier. Or at least it was a gray Lancer. But actually Bruno was sort of being Bruno back then too. That was a little bit more than just a tap. Honestly, compared to the other driver, Bruno was not racing bad. But, somebody does that to me towards the end of the race, I'm going to be racing about that way too. That's for sure, folks. That's for sure. Back then or now. Again, as I said back then, I didn't really race as eye for an eye just because I didn't really know how to race as consistently back then. But it doesn't mean that somebody's blatantly been dirty that I wasn't going to wreck him back then either. And as of now, the driver who's right literally next to me is racing clean, which is good because that driver's right literally next to me and kind of sort of has to, or we're both going to get wrecked. But I guess that that almost worked out good for both of us. I assume y'all saw my rearview mirror there. Yeah. That wasn't my own fault, though, so whatever. Racing back with these drivers who weren't as consistent, even some of the same drivers I raced with just weren't as consistent in the plain fact that not as much practice back then. So yeah, this is definitely an entertaining race, even though it ain't the cleanest race. And yeah, that driver's back in front of me again, and that other driver who shouldn't be in front of me is back in front of me too. So yeah, this should be a tough one, folks. This should be a tough one. I know I'm a better driver than the driver directly in front of me, and I can't remember if I'm a better driver than the driver who I got in a scuffle with earlier. I assume so. Especially at this point, given I don't necessarily recognize that driver I got in a scuffle with, so I assume I definitely am at this point. And yeah, I'm already back ahead of that other driver, but he's on my inside here and wants to get to the outside and doesn't give a hoot where my car is, so yeah. Remember, this ain't necessarily how he's racing now, but it definitely was back then, though. Definitely was back then. But again, as far as I know, I'm faster, so not really all that big of a deal until the last lap. But, well, so holy shnikes. Why did they put the laps back there back then? That is a good PD logic there, is they moved the laps to a good place. But anyway, that's that, folks. That was a unique and crazy race, that's for sure. It's probably the only race ever where Bruno was racing dirty, but he wasn't actually the dirtiest driver. So yeah, that's definitely something unique, folks. That's definitely something unique. A lot different back then than it is now. But either way, now or then, it was still pretty cop-picking, entertaining racing, and there will be more pretty cop-picking, entertaining racing to come for Gran Turismo Sport Closed Beta. Yeehaw!